The Big Bang and Genesis, a cosmic coincidence or not? Since humans first gazed up at the night sky, two fundamental questions have echoed across generations. Where did we come from? And how did everything begin? To answer these questions, two major sources of knowledge stand out: modern science and ancient religious texts. And interestingly, despite their different approaches, they sometimes seem to touch the same mystery, just using different words. In this episode, let's explore the fascinating parallels between the scientific theory of the Big Bang and the biblical account of Genesis. Is it all just a cosmic coincidence or not? The Big Bang Theory, an explosive beginning. Let's start with science. The Big Bang Theory is currently the most widely accepted explanation for the origin of the universe. First proposed in the 1920s by Georges Lemaitre, who, interestingly enough, was also a Catholic priest. The theory describes an initial moment, about 13.8 billion years ago, when the universe emerged from a singularity, an extremely hot and dense point smaller than an atom. This point didn't explode in the traditional sense, but rather began to expand rapidly, giving rise to space, time, matter, and energy. As time passed, this expansion allowed the universe to cool down, leading to the formation of subatomic particles, atoms, stars, galaxies, and billions of years later, planets like Earth and eventually us. The Big Bang Theory is supported by multiple lines of evidence: the cosmic microwave background, the echo of the explosion, the observed expansion of the universe by Edwin Hubble, and the abundance of light elements like hydrogen and helium. Science, then, points to an absolute beginning, a time when neither space nor time existed. Genesis. Let there be light. Now let's turn to Genesis. In the first book of the Bible, the creation of the world is described in poetic and symbolic language. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty, and darkness was over the surface of the deep. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. The text continues with the six-day account of creation, culminating in humanity being formed in God's image on the sixth day. Some people see this narrative as purely mythological or symbolic, while others believe it may contain profound truths, even if expressed in ancient terms. And here's where the coincidence, or perhaps not so much coincidence, starts to show. Both narratives speak of a beginning, a moment when nothing existed, followed by a moment when everything came to be. In Genesis, it's the voice of God. In science, it's the singularity giving birth to the universe. Coincidence or convergence. This is where philosophers, theologians, and even scientists start to wonder. Are the Big Bang and Genesis essentially saying the same thing in different languages? Think about it this way. A scientist looks at the cosmos and sees energy becoming matter. A theologian looks at the same reality and sees the creative action of a divine being shaping chaos into order. The content may be similar. What changes is the perspective. This idea isn't new. Even Albert Einstein once said, "Science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind." And Georges Lemaitre, the father of the Big Bang Theory, believed that science explains the how, while faith seeks the why. The limitations of each side. But it's important to recognize that science and religion operate with different tools. Science works through observation, experimentation, and constant revision. It doesn't necessarily seek meaning or purpose. It seeks explanations based on evidence. Religion, on the other hand, is concerned with the meaning of existence, values, spirituality, and often deals with the ineffable, what cannot be fully explained. So, comparing the Big Bang to Genesis isn't like comparing two technical manuals. It's more like comparing an equation to a poem. Both can speak about reality, but in radically different ways. Time in Genesis, literal or symbolic. Another important point, is the concept of time. Genesis talks about 6 days. Science speaks of billions of years. This often creates conflict. But do the days of creation need to be understood literally? The Hebrew word for day, used in Genesis, is yom, which can mean a literal 24-hour period or simply an undefined span of time. This opens the door to symbolic interpretations. In that case, the days could represent phases of creation, not strict chronological periods. So Genesis doesn't necessarily contradict modern science. It might just describe the process in a different way, focusing more on the spiritual than the technical. What caused the Big Bang? Now here's a question that still challenges scientists today. What caused the Big Bang? What existed before? The honest answer is, we don't know. Current physics can't describe what happened before time, because time itself began with the Big Bang. This limitation leads many to speculate. Was there an external cause? Could that cause be God? Even atheist or agnostic scientists acknowledge that there's a deep mystery at the beginning of the universe. The cosmologist Stephen Hawking once suggested that the universe could have created itself from the laws of physics. Others, like physicist Paul Davies, admit there might be an intelligence behind the order and laws of the cosmos. Faith and reason, rivals or allies. In the end, perhaps the most important question isn't whether the Big Bang and Genesis say the same thing, but rather, why are we so determined to understand our origin? The search for our beginning is also a search for our identity. If we came from a cosmic accident, that carries certain implications. If we were created by intelligence or intention, that carries others. How we interpret our origin shapes our worldview, our values, and even our sense of self. And maybe, at this point, science and faith aren't enemies, but companions in a shared journey. Science tells us how we came to be. Faith asks us why. One without the other may feel incomplete, but together, they might paint a fuller picture of the universe and of ourselves. Conclusion, a mystery still expanding. The Big Bang and Genesis might seem like opposites, but maybe they're just two sides of the same coin. Two different ways of expressing a mystery that we're still far from fully understanding. The most important thing might not be choosing a side, but keeping our minds open and our hearts too. Because in the end, whether through a cosmic explosion or a divine word, the fact remains. The universe had a beginning, and we are here, billions of years later, trying to understand it. And that, by itself, is already a miracle, or a cosmic coincidence, or maybe both.